Okay, just arrived at Little Lake Nellie in Clermont, Florida, looking at the site of a boating accident in 1993 that killed two members of the Cleveland Indians baseball team, Steve Olin, who died instantly, and Tim Crews, who died the following morning at a hospital, and then seriously injuring Bob Ojeda, another Cleveland Indians pitcher. He still does not talk about that incident to this day. It's 32 years later. We're in 2025, December 13th. And this accident happened 32 years ago. I want to take a look here. It is on Apple Maps. The blue dot is where I'm sitting right now. This community has been developed a little bit since the accident. You can see that their houses are surrounded. There's a lot of construction, a lot of new houses have been built here, and that basically blocks the access to the lake that you don't have the access to it today that you used to 32 years ago. So all I drive around this little community, like a residential community that's been formed around the lake now. So that blue dot is where I am sitting right now. There's you can see a little walkway between two houses that I'm going to walk through and access to get a closer view of the site. And let's take a look. All right, let's go down there now. So we'll walk down this hill and see where we're in between two houses. So this is one of the few access points we can really get. Little brush. Now at the bottom of the hill, you can take a look up here. I mean, it's in between two houses. I'm really not going to anybody's property lines. And now we're going to go back up here, up this hill, and get a better view of the lake. Okay, here is a full view of the lake. Okay, from right to left. These houses in the background, they're among the newly constructed homes. They just are built. Some of them aren't even moved in yet, aren't even sold yet. So we're going to get a little pan. It's not a big lake. It's called Little Lake. There's actually a lake called Lake Nellie, and this is a smaller version called Little Lake Nellie. And you can see a few boating docks in the background. And not sure exactly which was the one they went into, but we'll start. We'll pan around a little bit here. Okay. This is looks like a man-made, newly made boating dock. So I doubt that's the one. There's a house built behind it, and a little cabana there for little canoes and stuff like storage for canoes. And you can see a small, it looks like an abandoned boating dock, a small abandoned boating dock, but the most likely boating dock to have been hit in the accident is this boating dock right here. You can see that the water has receded. So back in 1993, that area was all water, and it might have extended out a little bit further than it does today, but they hit, that is most likely the boating dock that they hit. Causing two players to die and a third to be seriously injured. And this was actually Tim Crews owned a piece of property out here, and he either bought a house or built a house shortly before the accident, and he invited his teammates for I guess a barbecue on their day off of spring training, the only day off of spring training that season in 1993. And I guess the manager, Mike Hargrove at the time, decided as long as he ever managed in the major leagues, he never had a day off in spring training. Just a little footnote. But it is believed that the Crews family still owns the property that they lived on at the time in 1993. It could be definitely not these newly built houses, but it could be either. I wouldn't tell you if I knew, but it could be either this house. Maybe that's the dock that they got off of and traveled and hit this dock, or it could be the house house way in the back out there. That could be that house. I do believe that the water is their house that they live on is on the lake, so it's one of these houses. Or it could be this house that's a little bit further behind. Alright. And that's basically a view. And that is the boating dock that you see. It's receded. You can probably walk onto the dock if you can access it from the other side. I'll try to do that. I'll see if I can access that and walk on it, but I might not be able to. And it could be somebody's backyard to have to go through, so I wouldn't be able to do that. And that's where we are. All right, one more little pan around. Rest in peace to Steve Crews. I'm sorry, Steve Olin Tim Crews, and best wishes to Bob Ojeda, who has gone on to a nice broadcasting career with the Mets. He played a few more years after the accident and then went into broadcasting, and he doesn't talk about the incident. They tried to interview him after the incident. He doesn't talk about it. Yeah, so and there's some more stuff out in the distance. And it's back to where I'm filming from, which is little space I found between two houses that I could probably legally walk through. All right. Okay. I'll close this with a close shot of the deck. Okay, so we are now at the Suggs Road entrance to Lake Nellie. The arrow is me. And this road is actually so brand new. It's still not even paved. It's a dirt road. And we have one place we can access. One view of Little Lake Nellie. Really get much closer than this, but this is the house on the other side. And you can see one of the docks, that belongs to this house right here, and you really can't get through here because there's a line here, but I'll be really quick about this one. And my viewpoint was, my first viewpoint you saw me at was right around there. And you can see other docks long out in the distance. And this is Suggs Road, as you can see, the dirt road, not even paved. It looks like they're gonna pave it. And if you go around here, these are newly built homes. So they're gonna pave this road, make it a road, and then sell all these houses, and people will somehow maybe be able to access this lake. So there we are right now in the distance. And on to the next point. Let me try to see if I can see if I can get around Autumn Drive. And that would probably be where the actual dock is. Let me see if I can access that. Okay, so right now, if you watch my other two videos, this is the Autumn Lane. We're on Autumn Lane right now. So we'll see how close we get to the actual boating dock. House for sale. I think this is one of the newly built houses. So there is a boating dock we can walk on. It's not the boating dock, but it's a boating dock. I believe this house is vacant. So yeah, here's a nice house here. Oh, I think we're on the other side of it. Okay. very strong boating dock. Okay, let's just take a look around the lake then. Okay. A lot of new houses. We're even further away than I thought. Okay, that I believe is the boating dock right there. You can see all the houses around it, so it really is tough to get to outside of the water. Okay, so we're now sitting on Autumn Lane, as you can see by the blue arrow, or white arrow, blue circle. And we'll see what we can see from the Autumn View site. Take a look. First off, we have a brand new house that was built. Looks like a new house for sale. A little driveway walks into the garage and a private deck, it looks like. This is not the deck, but it's a deck. And from what it looks like to me, that the boating dock in question is all the way out here. I see more boating docks. Okay, so let's just take a closer look. Either boating docks for these particular houses, or okay, or that could be the dock right here on the other side of the brush. The boating dock that they collided into. Now, another side note that, yeah, Tim Crews owns a property just around this lake, or owned a property around this lake, and inviting some teammates on a day off to celebrate, like a little barbecue. And unfortunately, Tim Crews was drinking, and he was driving the boat, most likely, and that caused the accident. So let's take a look. Don't drink and drive, or don't drink and boat, as always. Yeah, I think this is the other side. That could be the dock. You see out there? I mean, it does extend out into the water. But like I said earlier, it's hard to access the lake because it's surrounded by private homes. And the only way you can really get a good view of the entire lake is if you went into their backyards, if they gave you permission or you trespassed. So that could be the boating dock right there. Or maybe it's on the other side of this. No, that looks like a boating dock just for that house. I doubt it. It's it. Let's see. Okay. Okay, and basically this is one final view of Little Lake Nellie from afar, from look like a horse stable business going on there, an Arabian horse stable business. But out in the back right there is Little Lake Nellie. We'll let you know that I'm very, very close to the home of the Crews family. I won't tell you where it is exactly, but very close to the home that they live in, or still live in to this day. And I do see that they do have a very lovely home. And it has direct access to the lake, and it's very close to the dock in which they crashed into. Let's take one final look. Yeah, there's a couple of docks out here, but that could be the dock from afar. And look at all these houses. And there's a little horse tent. You can see horses running around there. And you can see. I'm still on Autumn Road, by the way. Just a little bit further down. Let's get a better view of horses stables. There you go. It's an Arabian horses stable. You can see there's some kind of event going down there. Looks like a tent and lots of seats there. Something going on there. And all those houses that are built in the background. And what it looks like, it could be the deck. It's along this deck. I don't think I'm going to get anywhere close to it. I think you can access it through the horse stable, but I don't think I'm getting any closer to it than that. So I'm sitting here on Evmar Drive. I think this is the closest I can get to the dock. And this is because this is a house. You have to access this guy's backyard to get into it. But you can see a dock in the distance here between the truck and the house. You can see a dock here. That's probably it. And I can't get closer to it than that. I don't, without infringing on somebody's property. So, okay, so that's it. That's looks like the dock that killed Tim Olin and Steve Crews in Clermont, Florida. Okay, let's try one more access point. I'm on Point Nellie Drive in the corner here. You can see it by that blade. The blue dot is me. And I'm going to try one more time. Now, I did see that there's a house, 2 houses in between, but there's fences. So it looks like this could be a public access. So let's go and give that a shot. There's fences. So these houses, this is not private property as far as I know. Let's go down to this lake. Let's see if I can get it. Oh, it looks like it. Okay, that's a dock. There's a dock. There's another dock. Okay, right now I am standing on the deck at Little Lake Nellie. I found one that I can access through Port Nellie Road, and it's going to basically zoom in. This is going to get the entire view of the lake, including the surrounding houses. These houses here on this development, this is where I was filming from earlier. And I'm going to show you on the companion and zoom as much as I can. These are trees. You can see across the pond. That's the horse academy the Arabian Horse Academy I was telling you about. That's somebody's house. There's another person's house. And spin around. And these are, looks like 3 or 4 more decks. And they could have slammed into any one of them, including the one I'm standing on right now. However, most of these houses are newly built. These decks are newly built as well. Or it could be a deck that was torn out for all I know. I don't know. So let's just spin around here. Here's the deck I'm standing on right now. It's between that house and that tree, which seems to be a legal spot where I can just walk through. Because the house, each house has fences along the side marking the boundaries. This is probably, I assume that that's publicly owned land. Okay, so there. Let's go backwards. Look at the decks. So it's most likely one of these decks. Maybe the one I'm standing on right now. Or it could be that one. And that's all these decks that you see are accessible by somebody else's backyard. Okay, so this is Little Lake Nellie, located in Clermont, Florida. This lake is the site of a boating accident on March 22nd, 1993. It killed 2 pitchers for the Cleveland Indians. One was Steve Olin, and the other was Tim Crews. Steve Olin was killed instantly. Tim Crews died at a hospital the following morning. A third pitcher was on the boat, was Bob Ojeda. He survived the crash and went on to pitch a few more years before retiring and went into broadcasting. He was so traumatized by that incident, he still doesn't talk about it to this day. It's now 2025. It's December 13th, 2025. I've read a lot about this accident afterward. Tim Crews Tim Crews lived on this lake, on one of these houses off the lake. I believe it's one of these that's right adjacent to the lake right there. And he had a party at his house on a day off during spring training of 1993, and they decided to go out for a boat ride and had this accident. There's actually 3 visible boating docks, so I can't be 100% sure which one happens in, but this one appears to be the private boating dock for this house right here. And then you can see another smaller one appears to be abandoned, but that could still be used for a boating dock. But the one that was most likely hit by the boat that killed the 2 players is that boating dock right here. The water's kind of receded, so it's not, you can't really ride your boat onto it anymore. So, I've read that the dock is still there, but the water has receded, so it looks a little different than it did. But at the time, yeah, that was a full body water. And these are houses in the background. I believe Tim Crews' wife or widow Lori still lives in the area. She kept the house. They still live in the house that they lived in at the time. And probably, now these houses here are newly developed. They actually developed a village community around this lake in the following year, so it's not as accessible as it used to be. So it could be, Tim Crews probably lived at one of these 2 houses you see in the background, or that house way out there in the background. I can get zoom close as I can to it, or how about maybe one of these houses in the background. So I believe that the family still lives on this lake. Not much you can see, it's just a little lake. And to show you a little development around here. They are developing these little houses. These are recently developed homes. They build a lot of homes. There's a lot of real estate activity, a lot of construction activity showing that these houses are in the process of being built. But this is the lake as it looks today. No mementos of any kind that I can see. That's the likely spot right there. See if I can get any closer to it and later on. Maybe I can drive around to the other side. It's possible. It might be difficult to access because all the homes surrounding it is like private property almost. Yeah, I'm in the middle of private property right now. See these 2 houses, and I found a little ditch I kind of like to walk through. So other than that, it's mostly consists of the backyard of these houses that are built around the lake. So it's kind of harder to access it unless you own the property adjacent to it. But that's how it looks today. And this is the accident. That's the accident center right there. Most likely. And it could be that one. Okay. Or possibly that. That looks like a new boating dock. So I don't think that's it. Let's see. Let's see if I can get any close to that. We'll try. Okay. But anyway, rest in peace, Steve Olin Tim Crews. Best wishes to Bob Ojeda. Little Lake Nellie, Clermont, Florida.